If you've ever lost money paying sneaky foreign exchange fees, or had your card randomly decline overseas, or paid your bank way too much money to send money abroad, then this video is for you. Because today I'll be showing you exactly how to use Wise step by step. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to spend, save, and send money overseas without getting ripped off. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Queenie, I'm a personal finance creator, and I'm all about helping your money go further. I also have a license to give general financial advice, but keep in mind that anything that we talk about in this video is general advice only and not personal financial advice. You can read my full financial services guide in the description. I've personally been using Wise for the past 10 years before they sponsored anything on my channel. In fact, the way that I actually discovered Wise was through my partner. 10 years ago, we did our very first overseas trip together to Bali. During that trip, my partner was using a Wise card and I was using a travel money card from one of the big banks. I thought I was being pretty smart because the travel card that I was using advertised no fees. And while that was technically true, I didn't get charged any fees. The exchange rate that the bank was giving me was actually way worse than my partner's. And since we were splitting all of our expenses on that trip, I actually noticed that my card was charging me more money for the same purchases that he was making. So that's when I personally switched to using Wise and I've never looked back. So a huge thank you to Wise for sponsoring this video. This is actually a dream come true. And if you want to try it for yourself, I've got a link in the description below where you can get a fee-free transfer of up to 1,000 Australian dollars or an equivalent currency. So sit back, relax, grab a drink of your choice. Today I'm drinking matcha and let's dive in. So first things first, what actually is Wise? Wise isn't a bank, it's a multi-currency account. The easiest way to think about it is it's a digital account that allows you to hold many different currencies in the one place. And it allows you to convert money using the mid-market exchange rate, just like the one you'd see on Google. And then once you've converted your currencies, you can spend that money overseas or you can send it overseas as well. The thing that I love about Wise is they're really transparent about their fees. They give you the mid-market exchange rate and they tell you exactly how many fees are charged. Compared with some other banks or travel cards which say that they have no fees, but they're not giving you the mid-market exchange rate. They're giving you an exchange rate with a markup and that's how they make their money. So I love how you can actually see what's happening with Wise. And I know what some of you might be thinking. If it's not a bank, is it actually safe to use? And that's a totally fair question to ask. Did you know that Wise is actually a publicly listed company on the London Stock Exchange? It's been around since 2011 and it has millions of customers all over the world. As you can see from this page, Wise is regulated and licensed in many countries including Australia, Belgium and the European Economic Area, Brazil, Canada, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Israel, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, the Philippines, Singapore, the UK, the US. So it's not some random little travel card company that you found online. It's a legitimate global financial company with serious accountability. Another thing you might be asking, is Wise for everybody? Honestly, probably not. If you don't send money internationally, you might not really need it. But if you travel once or even twice a year, if you have family overseas, if you freelance or you have a business that gets paid internationally, or if you just hate wasting money on bad foreign exchange fees, then Wise might be for you. My partner Pablo and I honestly use Wise all the time. His mum lives in France, I also have some family in Singapore, we live in Australia and we travel a lot. And we also have some friends and family in different countries around the world. So for us, Wise makes life so much easier. And if that sounds like you too, here's exactly how to set it up. So the first step is to sign up and verify your account. You can either download the Wise app on your phone or go to their website. The sign up process is pretty straightforward. You'll just need to put in your name, email address, phone number, and address. I personally love having the option to use either the website or the mobile app because I am a millennial, and while I do like doing most things on my phone, for really big transfers, I prefer to use my laptop instead because I don't like doing big transfers on my phone. I don't know if there's anyone else out there like that. Let me know in the comments. But I also love using the Wise app, especially when I am traveling, because it just makes things so much easier. And if you use the link in my description below to sign up, you'll get a fee-free transfer of up to 1,000 Australian dollars or an equivalent currency. When you sign up, you just need to upload a photo of your ID, like your driver's license or passport, and then take a quick selfie so they can verify your identity. Most people get verified really quickly, but sometimes it could take a bit longer. So I wouldn't recommend leaving this until the last night before your trip. Try to do it at least a few days in advance to save yourself the stress. Once your account is set up, the next step is adding some money. You just need to click add money, select the money that you'd like to add. I'll do Australian dollars. And let's say, for example, I want to add 100 Australian dollars. And there are a few different options that I can pay with. I can choose to pay with bank transfer, debit card, Apple Pay, Pay ID, or a credit card. I usually like to do Pay ID because it's free and usually instant. So I'm just going to select Pay ID and then I go continue. Then I just go into my banking app, I'll select Pay ID, put in $100, and then send money. So the money has just landed in my account. Here's exactly how I can convert it into a different currency. So in 2 days' time, I'm actually traveling to the Philippines in Boracay. It's my first time ever in the Philippines, so I'm going to convert my Australian dollars into Philippine pesos. So I just go into my home currency, which is Australian dollars, and then I click convert. These are all of the different currencies that I can convert my Australian dollars with. And then I just found the Philippine pesos. So now I can see on this screen, I'll see my exact conversion rate from Australian dollars into Filipino pesos, and I can also see the fees that are charged, which is 61 cents. And then to make the transfer, I click review and then convert. The thing that I love about Wise is they're really transparent about their fees, and they give you the mid-market exchange rate, just like the one you'd see on Google. The annoying thing with some travel cards and banks and money changers is they advertise that they don't charge you any fees, but they actually give you a bad foreign exchange rate, and that's how they make their money. And this is honestly one of the biggest reasons why I switched. Another really cool feature of Wise is you have a few options with what you can do with your money after it's left over from a trip. And here are some options on what you can do with this leftover money. Let's say I've just gone to Europe and I have 50 euros sitting in my Wise account. The great thing about Wise is I have options with what I want to do with that money. If I'm going to London after my Europe trip, I can easily convert my euros into pounds, and it's really easy in the app to do this. And when I come back home to Australia, I've also got two options. I can either convert those pounds into Australian dollars, or I can leave that money sitting in my Wise account and use it for my next trip. And let's say, for example, I've booked another trip to Singapore and then I need to convert my Australian dollars into Singapore dollars. I'm basically paying for the conversion fee twice if I do this. But if I go straight from pounds into Singapore dollars, then I'm only paying for one conversion fee. It's a small thing, but over a few trips, I think that it does add up. If you have some Australian dollars or your home currency sitting in your Wise account, you also have another option, which is to earn potential returns with Wise interest. But I'll talk more about this later in this video. Now, here's one really important tip that I want you to remember whenever you're using Wise, and that is to always make sure that you're converting money before you're using the card. Technically, you can use your Wise card without pre-converting your currencies. So let's say, for example, you have 1,000 Australian dollars sitting in your Wise account, and then you tap your Wise card at a cafe in Paris. It will still work because Wise will just convert your Australian dollars into euros on the spot, but you will pay a slightly higher conversion fee when this happens. So if you want to save money, make sure that you are converting your currency in the app before you spend. This is the order that I'd follow. First, move your home currency into your Wise account. Then create your wallets for the currencies that you need, like what you just saw me do with Philippine pesos. Then convert the amount of money that you'll need in that currency. And finally, spend the money. It doesn't take that long to do, but it can save you a lot of money in the process. That said, there is one exception that I make. Let's say you're right at the end of the trip and it's your last day in Bali, and you've already spent all of your Indonesian rupiah, but you still have some Australian dollars sitting in your Wise account. If you only have a few hours left in that country, I personally think it's okay to just tap my card and pay slightly higher conversion fees, because while I might be paying slightly higher conversion fees on those last few transactions, at least I'm not converting more rupiahs than I need to. And let's say, for example, I convert $100 into rupiah and I only spend $20. I personally don't want to be stuck with more rupiah in my account than I really need to be. So my rule of thumb is I always make sure that I am converting some money at the start of my trip to make sure that I am locking in a good rate. But then at the end of the trip, I just use my card as I go, because I personally think the convenience is worth the small fee. But this all depends on how you personally prefer to use your account. So the next step is ordering and using the Wise card. Once your account is funded and you've converted some money, you can now start using the Wise card. It's a Visa debit card, and there's usually a one-off fee unless you use my link in the description below, because they have waived the one-off fee for the Wise card. There's also no monthly fee or annual fee for the card itself. When you order it, you'll get your physical card in the mail, and you'll also get a digital card in your app straight away. The Wise digital card is free, and the physical card usually costs $10, but of course you can use my link in the description below and get this fee waived. The digital card is honestly super handy because you can simply add it to your Apple Pay or your Google Pay and start using it straight away, even before the physical card arrives. As you can see here in my Wise app, I can see my cards. This is my physical card, and then I also have a digital card here, and I can easily add the physical card to my Apple Wallet, which I already have, and this is how it looks. And to order a card, I simply go cards and get a card. And here I can choose to order a physical card or a digital card. You can actually create up to 2 different digital Wise cards. And something that I personally love about Wise is I can manage all of these cards within the Wise app. So let's say, for example, I'm overseas and my card gets stolen. I can freeze the card, I can unfreeze it with the app. If I forget my PIN, I can show my PIN and my card details, which is really helpful for me because I am quite forgetful. And I can even set spending limits on my card as well, which is really handy. Digital cards can be really great, especially for your day-to-day spending, but I do think it is great to have the option to have a physical card because there are some countries that do prefer physical cards, and you can also use your physical Wise card to make ATM withdrawals, which is really helpful because even in 2026, there are some countries where cash is king. Especially if you're going to somewhere like Japan, there are some places that don't really accept card, especially some of those small food shops and food markets. We'll dive into how the ATM withdrawals work in the next section. And here's another really important tip, especially whenever you are using your Wise card overseas, and that is to always make sure you're paying in the local currency. If you're somewhere like Japan or Europe, most machines actually ask you whether you would like to pay in your home currency or if you would like to pay in the local currency. I always choose paying in the local currency, for example, euros or Japanese yen. And this is because if I choose my home currency, I get hit with another foreign exchange fee by the merchant or payment terminal. So that's why whenever I get this option, I always choose to pay in the local currency. So here's how you can withdraw cash overseas. So let's talk about cash because sometimes you might need it. With Wise, you can withdraw cash with your card from overseas ATMs, but there are limits applied to what's free. You get 2 withdrawals each month with Wise with no fees, up to 350 Australian dollars total. And after that, there's a $1.50 fee per withdrawal, plus a 1.75% fee on any amount over $350. This video was recorded on the 4th of May 2026, so by the time you're watching this video, some of these fees may have changed. It's important to keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that while Wise may not charge a very high fee for withdrawals, and it's even free if you do make a withdrawal of less than 350 Australian dollars, sometimes the ATM itself might charge a fee, and that's outside of Wise's control. So that's something to keep in mind whenever you are traveling overseas and using ATMs. My personal tip is to use ATMs from big banks overseas wherever possible, because some of those random ATMs in touristy spots or convenience stores, they're usually the ones with higher fees. And another tip is to bring a little bit of cash with you whenever you are traveling overseas, because every now and again you might be going somewhere that doesn't accept card, and it's always good to have cash as backup. Some places I've noticed have FPOS machines that don't actually accept foreign cards at all, so it's always good to have cash just in case. So now let's talking about sending money internationally with Wise. This is actually the product that Wise started with, and it's one of the best use cases for using Wise, especially if you travel quite a lot and you have family and friends overseas. They've made the process quite simple, so to send money overseas, I simply go send. I can search my contacts here, or I can add someone here. A great thing about Wise is there are so many people already using Wise, so if you have a friend or family member overseas, they probably already have a Wise account, and it's actually really easy to find them with Wise. So you can put in their Wise tag, email, phone number, or business name here. Or if they don't have Wise, you can simply put in their bank details and then put in all of their details here. And there are so many different currencies you can send, as you can see here. I actually recently did a destination wedding with my partner, and we did our destination wedding in Vietnam, and we paid all of our suppliers using Wise. And I actually did some calculations based on what some of the big banks would have charged for doing those overseas transfers. And just by using Wise to pay for all of our suppliers in Vietnam, we saved around 1,500 Australian dollars, which is just crazy how all of those fees really do add up. My partner Pablo is French, and he had some student loans back in France. And before he found Wise, he was using one of the big banks in Australia to repay his student loans back in France, and they charged him a fee of around $25 for each transfer that he made, plus a currency conversion fee of 3%. Whereas with Wise, when you are transferring money overseas, you don't pay a fee for each transfer, you only pay the fee for the foreign exchange. And the fee is quite small, especially compared to a lot of other banks. Plus you also get the mid-market exchange rate. So if you are looking to send money internationally, either to friends or family, or paying for suppliers, or even paying businesses overseas, Wise can be a really great option to save you quite a bit of money in foreign exchange fees. A new feature with Wise is you can now give your money a boost with Wise Interest. This lets you earn a variable return on the money sitting in your Wise account. You can currently earn interest on the balances sitting in your Wise account when you have Australian dollars or US dollars. You can choose to have it invested in low-risk government-backed assets, like short-term bonds. Returns are added every working day, and the best part is your money isn't locked away. You can still send it, spend it, or use it however you'd like to. It's currently the 4th of May 2026, and the rates that they have on their website are 2.98 for Australian balances and 3% for US balances. This is also after taking into account Wise's fees. And it's also important to note that these rates can change over time. Your money is essentially invested in low-risk government-backed assets, so growth isn't guaranteed. Wise does say that past performance isn't a reliable indicator for future performance, so your capital is at risk. So while the underlying assets are usually government bonds, which are designed to be low risk, it is still technically an investment, not a bank account. But one interesting thing that I did want to mention is there are no annoying hoops that you need to jump through in order to qualify for this bonus interest rate. And this does matter because there are quite a lot of high interest savings accounts in Australia that advertise really high interest on your savings, but you only get that high interest rate if you do meet their bonus interest rate requirements. For example, you need to deposit a certain amount of money each month, you need to grow your account balance, you have to make a specific number of card purchases, and there could be more. In 2023, the ACCC found that on average, 71% of bonus interest accounts did not receive bonus interest in any given month. So a lot of people were basically missing out on the bonus interest rate that they were signing up for because a lot of those bonus interest rate requirements were too hard for people to consistently meet. So if you do have some money sitting in your Wise account and you would like to potentially earn some interest on it, then this could be something that you could look into. Just remember that the return is variable, it's not guaranteed, and you should read the full product disclosure statement to make sure that it's right for you. So before we wrap up, here are some of the biggest mistakes that people make with Wise, and ones that I have made in the past. So the first mistake is spending on the card without converting your currencies first. So this is when you are loading your home currency onto Wise, but then you forget to convert your currency. It will still work. Wise will basically convert your home currency into the currency that you're purchasing with. But every time it does this automatic conversion, you are paying a slightly higher fee than if you just opened the app and converted your money beforehand. So whenever I am about to make a purchase in a foreign country, I do like to open my Wise app and just make sure that I do have enough money sitting in my Wise account in that local currency before I do make the purchase. Another mistake is paying in your home currency instead of the local currency when you're traveling. This is such a common mistake and it can cost you quite a bit of money. So whenever you are traveling, always make sure you are paying in the local currency to avoid any fees that banks or FPOS machines can add to your transaction. The third mistake is waiting until the last minute to set everything up. Don't leave it until the night before your trip. Make sure you are sorted at least a few days in advance to avoid any last minute stress. Mistake number 4 is forgetting that your Wise card is a debit card. Some places like hotels or car hire companies may still want a credit card on file. So it's a good idea to bring a credit card as a backup just in case this happens. This actually happened to us while we were in Spain. We rented a car from maybe not a top tier car rental place, but maybe a second tier or a third tier car rental company because it was cheaper, but they specifically wanted a credit card on file. Luckily we did bring a credit card, but yes, it could have caused a lot of last minute stress if we didn't have a credit card with us. So if you do have one, it's a good idea to bring a credit card for insurance. Now let's go through some frequently asked questions. I did another video about Wise a few months ago and you loved it, but you also had so many questions that I wanted to specifically answer in this section. So what if my account gets frozen? This can happen if they need extra verification or something looks unusual. Usually the best thing to do is to contact their support within the app. Stay calm and respond clearly. So you can contact the support by clicking here, go into help, and then you can contact them here. So can I still use the card if I change my SIM overseas? And yes, your physical and digital digital cards will still work. You'll just need internet access in order to use the app. Is Wise cheaper than Revolut? It honestly depends on what features you're using and which country you're in. They're both popular options, so let me know if you would like me to do a separate video on this. Don't forget, if you would like to try Wise for yourself, I've got a link in the description below where you can get a fee-free transfer of up to 1,000 Australian dollars or an equivalent currency. Thanks so much to Wise for sponsoring this video, and thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you made it this far, write a comment below with the word passport in there, just so that we know you watched this video all the way through. Thank you. Bye.